Focus story, bodies of our Jawans mutilated by Pakistan Border Action Team. The Northern Command has released a press release stating that the Pakistan Army carried out unprovoked rocket and mortar firing on two forward posts on the line of control in Krishna Ghati sector. Simultaneously, a BAT action team from our side was also launched on a patrol operating between the two posts. In an unsoldierly act by the Pakistan Army, the bodies of two of our soldiers in the patrol were mutilated. Such despicable act of the Pakistan Army will be appropriately responded to. All right, I want to connect to our executive editor, Gaurav Sawant, joining us from the newsroom. You know, Gaurav, it's just the depths that the Pakistan Army keeps falling to. This is not the first incident right now. But what do you reckon needs to be India's response to this?
You know, this is hurting India's psyche again and again. Now, the initial information that seems to be filtering in indicates that at this point of time, there was an intelligence input about some landmines, some input, so not intelligence, some input that came in about landmines that these two soldiers, one BSF, one army, that entire patrol was going to look at the landmines in that area quite right next to the fence at the line of control. That's the time that the Pakistan Army and its border action team started attacking with rocket launchers. Or us samay, you know, as they say, afra tafri ka mahol. That's the time that people, run, they take cover. That's the time the border action team apparently had already crossed the line of control, already had come on our side. They were lying in wait. They ambushed our soldiers and mutilated two of them. One is a BSF constable and the other is an army Jawan. And they immediately went back. Before there could be a response, they immediately went back. Now, this has happened many times before. In 2013, Naik Hemraj was beheaded. Before that Kargil war, we had 5 of our soldiers, including Lieutenant Saurav Kalia. His body was mutilated along with the 4th Battalion of the Jat Regiment soldiers. We've had one incident in North Kashmir where a Sikh soldier, his body was mutilated. So a series of these incidents have taken place. Now, tactically, Army does respond on ground, but that for some reason doesn't appear to have deterred Pakistan. And in a while, I'm told we'll be joined by General Vinod Bhatia, former Director General of Military Operations, and perhaps we should ask him what should India's response be that will send a message, because tactically the army responds almost immediately. If they've mutilated 2 of ours, perhaps 2 or 4 of theirs will be mutilated, but that doesn't seem to get the message across to Pakistan, Preeti.
All right, I believe there's somebody joining us on the phone line right now.
General Vinod Bhatia, former Director General of Military Operations. General Bhatia joins us. General Bhatia, you've been DGMO, sir. You know the situation on ground. What goes wrong each time, sir?
Lost General Bhatia. We're going to try and connect to him again. We seem to have lost him there. But Gaurav, where, you know, the response at this point of time, with what, you know, we've been speaking about this with various experts over the last 40 minutes, needs to come from the government at this juncture.
You are spot on, because tactically, Preeti, there is a response each time there is a mutilation or a beheading by the Pakistan Army. You know, when Naik Hemraj was beheaded in 2013, and that was the Rajputana Rifles Regiment, there was a response within a couple of months. We lost 2 of ours. Pakistan Army paid a price with 6 of theirs. But immediately afterwards, in the month of June, 6 of our soldiers were killed at the line of control, and this happened when there was a changeover between 2 battalions. There was a handing and taking over happening. Somewhere down the line there was some laxity, and Pakistan Army ambushed and killed 6 of ours. Similarly, there was a response to that. Tactically, this cat and mouse game has been on for quite some time, and each time if India loses 1, Pakistan does lose 2. But it's more than just a numbers game, because Pakistan keeps quiet about it. Pakistan does not talk about it. So right. Their national psyche is not affected. In India, since it's a democracy, since the word gets out, since the media discusses it, it hurts our national psyche that Pakistan can come and do this. Militarily, we are far superior to Pakistan, irrespective of the nuclear bogey that may come to Pakistan. We fought a war in the summer of 1999. It did not escalate even to, coming from the hills to the plains. It remained confined to the Kargil sector. So, it's not that anything will escalate to a nuclear threshold. India must respond. It's the political leadership that needs to take a decision how to respond and when to respond.
And the reason why it needs to come from the government as well at this point of time, Gaurav, let's just go back. It's something that a point that you've been making. General Bajwa of, the chief of the Pakistan Army, making that statement at the Hajipir Pass.
You are spot on there. General Qamar Javed Bajwa, Pakistan Army's chief, was in the Hajipir sector yesterday. Now, apart from telling his troops that, they'll lend political support to the Kashmir cause, there are two other things that he said which were not open to the media. He wanted the line of control to hot up all along the summer so that international headlines could be made out of there. So he's asked his army to ensure that LC remains hot. And two, he's also interacted with elements of the Mujahid battalion or Pakistan army troops that train terrorists and operate with terrorists. And it's the Mujahid battalion, we are told, that immediately came into action. But it's amazing that yesterday he came there, yesterday he spoke, and today there's been a beheading, there's been a mutilation of two of our troops at the line of control. So somewhere down the line, laxity at our part, and somewhere down the line, very, very alert Pakistani troops. Now they'll be alert for a response. So tonight, Indian Army cannot carry out a surgical strike. There will be a response, whether it's an artillery or a mortar, or in whichever way, in whichever sector. Pakistan Army will lose lives tonight, but more than that, it is a decisive signal that needs to go to Pakistan that requires a government nod.
With whatever said and done, but what does it say about the Pakistan Army? It's it's a violation of the Geneva Convention. You've fallen to the depths where you are violating every rule of engagement when it comes down to a soldier. Gaurav, for us in India, martyrdom in the line of duty is in the highest traditions of the forces. For Pakistan Army to fall to such depravity where they mutilate our soldiers.
Pakistan Army follows no conventions, and that is very clear. Geneva Convention, Vienna Convention, for Pakistan Army does not matter. And Pervez Musharraf, their former military dictator, has gone on record to say that. And it's a fact. We've seen it on ground. It's only a genuine democracy like India that follows these conventions. There is internal trouble in Pakistan. There's a big civil-military divide in Pakistan at this point of time. And to paper over their differences, the Pakistan Army is actually the real power center, and yet the civil society is hitting out at the Pakistan Army for overruling an elected Prime Minister. So to deflect tension from internal troubles, this is what Pakistan has done. Also because you have a Turkish president in India who's offered to mediate, and India says that's not acceptable, that Pakistan is trying to internationalize the Kashmir issue. And that is where India's big challenge is, to ensure that global headlines or global pressure does not come on India to negotiate with Pakistan. And that is where India says we are open to all talks with Pakistan, but India must punish Pakistan, and that is something that we haven't done enough.
That's what I'm saying, Gaurav. For the benefit of our viewers who are joining us right now, could you go back in history and go, and maybe, get us instances with when Pakistan Army has fallen to such depravity and India's action, which clearly somewhere down the line, that action hasn't delivered the message which it should have?
Well, after two of our soldiers were beheaded or mutilated at the line of control in January 2013, Naik Hemraj and one more, India responded. We lost two of ours. Immediately after that, Pakistan lost 5 of theirs, is what sources tell India today. But immediately after that, we lost 6 of ours in another raid that was carried out by the Pakistan Army. So somewhere down the line, that deterrent that India wants, that deterrence hasn't come in.
Captain Kalia, for example, as well, Gaurav.
Oh, absolutely. Captain Saurav Kalia of the 4th Battalion of the Jat Regiment and 6 of his soldiers in the Kaksar sector in Kargil in the summer of 1999. That was a patrol that went across, and Pakistan Army soldiers went on television many years later, and we have that clipping on India Today where a Pakistan Army soldier confirmed on camera how they tortured and killed a young Indian Army soldier. But that is where our political leadership is weak and lacking, because then Atal Bihari Vajpayee government did not take that to the either the international court or even bilaterally with Pakistan, did not drive home that point what Pakistan was doing to us. So that is where we lost out on an initiative. 2013, it was a Manmohan Singh government when our soldiers were beheaded. We did not take it to a logical conclusion. Then again, when in the Narendra Modi government this has happened, we've punished Pakistan in the sense of one surgical strike has been carried out, and in that surgical strike, from what sources tell India today, more than 50 Pakistan army and terrorists, Pakistan army soldiers and terrorists were killed in that surgical strike that was carried out across multiple sectors, north and south of Pir Panjal. But that also happened in the month of September, October. So now, so many months down the line, they've regrouped, rearmed, they've come back and they are hitting us again, and there is no response. So India, unfortunately, lacks a consistent policy of punishing Pakistan.
All right, Gaurav, stay on with us. Let's quickly dip into the reactions that we have been getting in on this story.
No, I'm really surprised by the Pakistani army's behavior, because if these are mainline units indulging in these kinds of atrocities, I think you're going to get a very bad reaction from the Indian army, which really cannot tolerate, being, sort of falling in battle is one thing, but then deliberate, the mutilation, as you say, of the bodies and so on is something else. It's an aggravation. It's an aggravated provocation, really. And the reason I'm not quite sure what the reason is, but I think they do want to get a rise out of India and the Indian army, so they can portray to the world that the ceasefire line is live, things are happening all the time, and with the Turkish President himself talking about third-party intervention to resolve the Kashmir issue and so on. They want to, I think, capitalize on all these developments. The point is very simple. I mean, the surgical strike, such as it was, I said at the time that it amounted to nothing very different or novel. The Pakistanis are used to it, they prepare for it, and so as far as even that particular surgical strike was concerned, it did not have the effect that I think many in this government sought to have. Now the problem is the escalatory aspect, which the government is very aware of, careful of military hostilities that could, in a sense, become uncontrollable.
Oh my God! Let me address that question and many other questions. First of all, you are aware about the statement that was issued by the chief of staff of the Pakistani Armed Forces, Mr. Bajwa, General Bajwa, when he visited the Hajipir sector of the line of control. He made three major points over there, and the first point represented a qualitative change in the defensive posture of Pakistan.
Gaurav, what are your sources telling you? Have you been talking to the Defence Ministry? What's going on? What kind of action is being mulled?
So I've just got off the phone. I was talking to my sources in the Ministry of Defence and on ground. There will be a reaction which we shall see later this evening, which will be reported by the Pakistani media. It may not be immediate, but it will be a decisive response. But as far as that bigger picture is concerned, from what sources are telling India today, Prime Minister's office has been briefed, the National Security Advisor has been briefed about the developments that have taken place on the line of control. Now, this happened in the Krishna Ghati sector. Both the BSF and the army have had one casualty each. When it comes to a response, India is ascertaining facts from what sources tell India today. The post from where these terrorists had come, action is being taken against that post where infiltrators were pushed in, or where this border action team was pushed in. But that's only tactical, Preeti. If we lose two and they only lose 2, 3 or 4, that's not a message that goes down the line, which is a deterrent, and especially at a time like this when Pakistan army will be prepared. So the moment something like this happens, they immediately bunker down, they go into their permanent defenses, and then they wait for a response. So there will be a response, but not where Pakistan army is expecting one.
Gaurav, as we keep mulling over and we keep talking to our experts on what would be appropriate Indian action, what would lead to retribution where India is concerned, let's talk about the 2 Jawans who were martyred and their bodies were, were violated. Can you give us details of that?
The Naib Subedar of the Indian Army, the other a head constable of the Border Security Force. They were on a patrol. Their families, of course, are now being informed that they've made the supreme sacrifice of their life. So of their lives. The information is that both these Jawans were a part of a bigger patrol that was checking out for landmines based on some information that had come in, and that's where they were ambushed with the Pakistanis using rocket launchers firing in their direction. When the patrol party went helter-skelter, two of these were pulled towards the LC, mutilated, and that's when the Pakistani border action team retreated onto the other side before our own group could come together and then retrieve the bodies back.
All right, Gaurav, stay with me. Let's get in reactions. We have Colonel Arison Singh on the phone line with us. Colonel Singh, this is what we've been talking about. What is the appropriate action right now that India can take which could lead to retribution of what has just happened with this dastardly act?
No, if you're talking of retribution, of course, I mean, you cannot, even if you try, you cannot, descend to this level of barbarism that is, which jihadis, they say, is sanctioned by their religion. So you cannot descend to that level. Remember that all these acts of, brutality attracts more youth to the jihadi cause. And that is the truth. But if you are asking for retribution, I would say that one retribution would be that please galvanize the nation against, the sort of adversary actually you are facing. Remember the consequences if this adversary, under the shadow of nuclear weapons, continues, with this kind of barbarism, and if God, God help if such an adversary was to dominate you, remember the consequences. The second aspect is, when I said that let's galvanize the nation, it includes you and me, analysts like me, people in the media. For God's sake, why don't you become aggressive as far as POK is concerned? You have passed an act in Parliament. The whole nation is behind you. And yet you are prevented by Abdullahs and Muftis. One Bajwa comes there on LOC. Okay. What has stopped your Rawat from going there? I know he has gone. He can be as aggressive, but as a nation we need to be more aggressive. And because we had given Gilgit-Baltistan given up mentally. That is why Kargil took place. So for God's sake, from now onwards, when you are talking of retribution, we are not talking of one head here and you also get 10 heads there. That is not going to end. Change the geostrategic structure of this entire and Pakistan. 65% of Pakistan did not want Pakistan. That is the whole of Balochistan and whole of NWFT, and yet you gave away Pakistan, and we are doing the same mistake now.
All right. Appreciate you joining us. Colonel Singh. We're joined right now by Major General Afsar Karim as well. General, what do you reckon right now? Because that's what Gaurav and I have been debating. What do you reckon would be the appropriate action, which clearly, one thing has been established, needs to come at the level of the government right now?
You see, the Pakistan Army is doing it deliberately to insult the Indian Army and India. And the answer we have to give in military terms. They are not ready to accept. If you take them to any forum, they say we haven't done anything. It's India which is doing it to defame us. So the answer is to damage the military structure of Pakistan beyond recognition from the area they are doing such things. And I think that is the immediate action.
You are calling for a similar kind of surgical strike which was carried out in September last year?
No, there are different kinds of strikes. I won't put it in any category. That depends on the ground, that depends on the army, which is how it is placed there and what decisions they take. But whatever the strike is, it has got to damage Pakistan beyond what expectations. So they are hesitant to take any such action again.
All right, and you reckon that kind of message till now has not been delivered, because clearly Pakistan has not got that. That's why we keep seeing repetition of barbaric acts such as this.
No, it will take some time. It will take some imagination how to damage them, because normal firing and killing a few people does not affect them. So let us find out ways and means by which we deter Pakistan. Deterrence is important, because then the enemy is hesitant to act in the manner it has done, that it knows the damage is beyond its cost, which is expected.
All right. Appreciate you joining us, General. All right. Gaurav is with us right now, our executive editor. You know, Gaurav, it's interesting. We just heard two very radical point of views there. One would suggest that, of course, India needs to come together. That was Colonel R.S.N. Singh. The other one. And it's interesting to note with what General Karim said. And he said that we need to come up with something more radical, something that we haven't done till now, but something from the route of a military level route. All right, we continue to get more reactions, but the story that we are tracking very closely right now, two of our Jawans' bodies were mutilated by Pakistan Border Action Team. A short while back, the Northern Command released a press release where it admitted to this barbarism, saying that the Pakistan Army carried out unprovoked rocket and mortar firing on two forward posts on the line of control. This took place in the Krishna Ghati sector. Simultaneously, a BAT action team from our end, the Indian end, was also launched on a patrol operating between the two posts in what is seen as an unsoldierly act by the Pakistan Army. The bodies of two of our soldiers in the patrol were mutilated. Such despicable act of Pakistan Army will be appropriately responded to. All right, we have General Jeju Singh on the phone line with us right now. General, at this point of time, one question that is being debated is what would be appropriate action which could lead to retribution. On the other hand, do you reckon, General, that Pakistan, especially where the army is concerned, is trying to push India into what seems like a full-blown conflict because it works for them?
Of course, I think this is the right assessment. Pakistan is trying to push us into a full-scale war because Pakistan has not, so far been reluctant to take the cognizance of our tolerance, of our very disciplined and a very measured response to Pakistan's provocations. They seem to have, are convinced in their mind that we will not take any action against them. They are convinced in their mind that this becomes a media event in India. So there are some kinks and some, wrong ideas in the minds of Pakistan, and they are cashing on it. We have seen just day before yesterday and yesterday that Pakistan Army Chief General Bajwa was in LOC area, especially in Hajipur sector, and he is supposed to be one of the experts in inciting and instigating problems on LOC, because most of his army life in Pakistan has been spent on the LOC. He has been commanding a corps also along the LOC on the Pakistan side. So now he being an army chief and a good friend of Nawaz Sharif, they seems to keep pressure on India in a military way. And I think the time has come that we need to react, we need to respond in a military way now. Right. And if there is a requirement, we should go ahead on a full-scale war, because we don't lack anything. We have got all kinds of weapons, all kinds of missiles from Prithvi, Raj, Nag, Akash and whatnot. And we have got an array of, gunfire, like the medium and heavy artillery fire. We have got the tanks. I mean, we are very sufficiently equipped. So therefore, I think a strong action against Pakistan needs to be taken. If required, even air power needs to be used, because otherwise they will not deter from doing such activities, and time to they will continue to do so.